Okay, so the Respect for Marriage Act passed, and I was listening on the radio to there's a lot of right-wing conservative Republican radio news stations out where I live. Well, pretty much the only one that actually gets any traction is right-wing Republican conservative, whatever. And I was checking in on it just to hear them, just to have something to listen to, and that was a mistake. You might say, but I thought you were right-wing and conservative. I'm like, yeah, I guess I am. Here's what I mean when I talk about how I don't know. I don't feel like I even really identify as a conservative anymore. I get that I agree with them on a lot of different things. And I don't care. I just don't care. This goes back to the rutabagas versus rotabagas video I made several months ago, back in June, back when Roe got overturned. If my whole ethos that I'm trying to get across over the past few years hasn't made much sense, if I haven't convinced you yet, I guess it's a different matter. But if I haven't conveyed my point, then I apologize for that. I wish I could do so better, and I'm practicing. I'm working on it. But here's a really good example, okay? I read a book by Stephen Pressfield called The War of Art. The War of Art. It's a really short book. You can get it and read it pretty quickly. It's not challenging. And one of the stories he has is of when he finally decided, okay, I'm going to write something. I'm going to get it out of my head. He locked himself away in the California wilderness and on a buddy's property. And every morning he would go to his buddy and get coffee and breakfast and stuff. And then he'd go back to his trailer and write. He'd just bang out whatever he needed to. And this was back in like the 70s or whatever. And one morning he walked in and his buddy was like, you hear the news? He was like, no. What happened? Watergate happened. The biggest political scandal of his time happened. He didn't realize any of that was going on. Why? Because he was too busy being productive. He was too busy accomplishing the first step on his dream. Now he's a prolific author. Now he's got plenty of books written. He has notoriety. He's been on Joe Rogan's show. He's done tons of stuff. He's famous. He's got money out the wazoo. So he's successful. Why? Because he buckled down. He put his head down to the grind, put his nose to the grindstone, and he did what he was going to do. He was not distracted by petty things at the national level that I guess they do affect a lot of people, but nothing that he can do to affect. What was he going to do? Write to the local paper a sternly worded letter to the editor about how he disagreed with how the president was handling things? Who the heck cares? Instead, he wrote the first book in a long line of books that made him eventually wildly successful and popular. My hope and my goal and my dream, one of them anyways, is to have myself and thus everyone around me and thus everyone around them be so busy with our noses to our respective grindstones that we're so busy doing that whatever national controversy is happening in DC is at best secondary to whatever we're doing. And eventually, news media, Fox, CNN, MSNBC, and all the rest of them will be like, hey, why aren't we being paid attention to? And they're going to have to pay attention to us instead of us paying attention to them. So since this Marriage Act passed, and people want me to care about what the Democrats said about it, and people want me to care about how the Republicans reacted to it, my question is, why should I care? My question to you is, why should you care? You now know my answer to it. Have a good one, guys, and onward. We'll see you guys around.